Shalom Aleichem, Assalamu Alaikum. Welcome to another video on the Passover. This video's title is going to be along the lines of, did God command us not to sleep? Did he command us to do an all-nighter on this day? Because it says here, on the 14th day, again, this is when they ate the Passover, on the 14th of the first month, at midnight. Notice, this is when it happened. At midnight of the same day, when they ate the Passover. Again, the 14th, this is, right now, where I am is about 3 a.m., so this is already past the time. But 3 hours ago was midnight, and it says here, on this day, in regards to this 14th day, right here in verse 42, it is a watch. This is the Septuagint that reveals the truth, gives us greater insight into the meaning, the deeper meaning of Passover, of Pesach. It is a watch kept to Adonai, so that he, Adonai, should bring them out of the land of Egypt. That very night, this night right now, is a watch to be kept, or I should say is a watch kept to Adonai, so that it should be to all the children of Israel, to their generations. Okay, so that's part one. Okay, so next we're going to look at the definitions of what is a watch to be kept. Okay, is it a Rolex? Is that the kind of watch they're talking about? No, I'm trying to being a little facetious here, but it says it is a watch. That is a night watch. Okay, that very night. A night watch is usually related to guards, guarding something during the night, so a night shift. But let's read the entry in BibleHub.com. Smith's Bible Dictionary reads, "The Jews, like the Greeks and Romans, divided the night into military watches instead of hours, each watch representing the period for which sentinels or pickets remained on duty. The proper Jewish reckoning recognized only 3 such watches, entitled the first, or beginning of the watches, the middle watch, and the morning watch. These would last, respectively, from 10 p.m., or I should say from sunset to 10 p.m., so let's say 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's roughly 4 hours. So that is the first watch, the beginning of the watches. The middle watch would then be 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then the last watch, called the morning watch, is from 2 a.m. to sunrise, so roughly 6 a.m. So 4 hours each, 12 hours in total. After the establishment of the Roman supremacy, the number of watches was increased to 4, which were described either according to their numerical order, as in the case of the fourth watch, as read in Matthew 14:25, or by the terms even, evening, midnight, cock crowing, and morning. These terminated respectively at 9 p.m., midnight, 3 a.m., and 6 a.m., but they all began at the same time, which was roughly 6 p.m., and they ended at 6 a.m. Again, it's a difference of how these watches are divided. The Hebrew or Jewish way to divide it is 3 watches of 4 hours each. The Roman reckoning is how many watches? 4 watches of 3 hours each, so 6 to 9, and then 9 to midnight, and then midnight to 3 a.m., 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., okay? And then the Hebrew word for watch is ashmoreth. So that would be the original. If we're going to reverse engineer, again, a lot of people have problems with the Septuagint because, it's Greek. Okay, well, newsflash, New Testament, apostolic scriptures are also in Greek, okay? You can't use that argument to dismiss the veracity of the Septuagint using, Greek. I don't like Greek for whatever reason, Greek bias. But if we were to reverse engineer the unadulterated, the true word of God, the Septuagint, into its original source language, which is Hebrew, reverse engineer watch, back into the Hebrew word for watch, it is Ashmoreth. Okay, so it is a watch. It is a literal night watch. Okay, so let me pause here. All right, we're back. So previously I did a video on this topic, but I was falling asleep and it, for whatever reason, it was an hour long. So I don't want to make this video an hour long. I want to save you time, I want to be succinct, as efficient as I can. So we are in Matthew chapter 24, verse 42. I don't know, I said it in a weird accent like that, but verse 42, watch therefore, for you know not what hour your Lord doth come. So is this talking about the watch, the night watch? Well, yeah, it is, because in verse 43 it says, if the good man of the house had known in what watch, so again, the night watch, the thief would come. Is it the first, second, third, fourth, depending on the Roman or Hebrew reckoning of the how it's divided? If he had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched. He would have stayed awake and would have not suffered or allowed his house to be broken up. Therefore, you also be ready, for at such an hour as you think not, the Son of Man comes. So we have to be, not saying that we should always be up all night and watching, but this is one of the days we are commanded to watch. Okay, as Exodus chapter 12 explicitly expresses in verse 42, it is a watch to be kept. Kept means you guard it, like the Sabbath. Guard the Sabbath, observe it, and keep it holy. So this is a similar kind of command. Okay, so I'm going to pause once again. Okay, so some people have made the comment kind of ignorantly saying, God commands Day of Atonement, so he commands us not to eat, not to drink, but good thing he doesn't command us not to sleep. Well, kind of does, as we read in Exodus chapter 12, verse 42. Now, if we read in the New Testament, again, the apostolic, scriptures, don't like calling it the New Testament, but if we look at Mark chapter 14, and we see verse 34, this is after they had eaten the Passover. Again, from my previous video, where Yeshua and his disciples ate the Passover together. This is after midnight, after the meal in any case. We don't know what time it was exactly, but this is during the night watch, because he tells them, Yeshua tells his disciples, my soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. Tarry you here and watch. So stay awake. Keep the watch. They know what this watch is. This isn't anything new. Okay? This is what is referred to in Exodus 12, verse 42. Continuing on. He takes with him Peter and James and John, and began to be sore amazed, and to be very heavy, and saith unto them, my soul... Okay, I just read that. He went forward a little, and fell on the ground, and prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. We're going to fast forward to 37. So he returns, and found them sleeping, his disciples, and saith unto Peter, Simon, that is, sleepest thou? Are you sleeping? Could you not watch 1 hour? Could you not stay awake for 1 hour? Watch you and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. He returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Neither wist they what to answer him. They didn't know what to answer. And he came the third time, said to them, sleep on now and take your rest. It is enough. The hour is come. Behold, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. So, are we commanded to not sleep at all? Well, looking at this verse, they weren't mandated to stay awake the whole time. He even said, sleep on now and take your rest. So there seems to be a little bit of leeway. He did expect them to keep a watch to a certain degree, but not up to 6 a.m. Because if they are following the example of Yeshua, and they are his disciples, they're literally emulating his behavior and his daily routines. He woke up very early before the sun would rise. What time is that? Well, it's estimate between 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Okay, just a rough estimation. So if let's say worst case scenario, they're up at 4 a.m. and they're up past midnight. This is what's that? 12 plus 8. That's 20 hours straight. 20 hours straight. That's not easy for anybody. But then, a little bit, give them a little leeway. Let's say they woke up at 6 a.m. That's still, 12 plus 6. That's still 18 hours. The average person, and speaking personally for myself, I get very physically tired, and my eyelids start to feel heavy around the 16-hour, being 16 hours of wakefulness, no naps or anything, just being awake after having slept 7, 8 hours, and then being up for 16 hours straight. That's when I start to feel a little bit tired, and then eyes will start to get heavy, especially after the 18, 20 hour uh, point. And that's where the disciples found themselves. They were at that point. So it's not that they were lazy or that they were just you know being rebellious and not doing what Yeshua was saying. They were fighting. They were trying to stay awake, but they just couldn't fight. The spirit is willing, the spirit is ready, but the flesh is weak. He just outright said what happened there. Okay, and when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Okay, third time. So he came back to them. Let's assume he came back every half hour or every hour, but it would have been, at least maybe 2 a.m. This is very late, okay, for them. So this is the way it was observed, and this is a testament. This is a witness to the truth of this verse, a watch to be kept to Adonai. This was literally the 14th day of the first month, and at midnight, during the night watch in any case, from sunset to sunrise. And that is what we see when we read Mark chapter 14. Okay, I'm going to pause once again, see if there's anything else to add. Okay, there's one last thing I want to go through. It is Matthew 26, verse 45. This is the King James. There is a contradiction here, okay? And let's just read it slowly. Verse 44, he left them, Yeshua, and left them as disciples. Yeshua left his disciples, went away again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Okay. Then comes he to his disciples and saith unto them, sleep on now and take your rest. Okay, so imagine I'm going to you and I tell you, go to sleep, have a good rest. Okay, behold, the hour is at hand, the Son of Man is betrayed to the hands of sinners. Okay, in the same breath, I tell you, rise, let us be going. Okay, that is a contradiction. How can I tell you, okay, go sleep, relax. Okay, all right, let's go. We got to go now. Right? That doesn't make any sense. Why would he say that in the same statement? There's no break in this sentence, in this verbal exchange, not really exchange, but this in the statement. There's no break there. So he's essentially saying, don't sleep, but it does say sleep. This is the King James, okay? So we're going to examine this further, and I'm going to the Westcott and Hort. This is, I believe, based on the Alexandrian texts, not the Alexandrine Septuagint, but the Alexandrian, is that the codexes? In any case, Matthew 26, verse 45. Let's see if the contradiction remains. So I'm going to read it for you. I'm going to read it slowly. Sleep on now and rest yourselves. Hark, my time is close at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of wicked men. So initially he says, sleep on now, rest yourselves, and then he says, up, let us be going. So yes, the contradiction remains in this Westcott and Hort translation. Okay, next, going to look at the source. Same chapter, same verse. How does it read? Okay, It's actually starting in verse 45. Then he went over to his disciples and said, "Are you going to sleep and rest indefinitely? This is now the time that the human being or the Son of Man is betrayed into sinners' hands." So he's asking them a question. Are you going to sleep and rest indefinitely? And then he says, "Get up, let's go. My betrayer is near." So that makes a little more sense in the modern vernacular in that translation. However, that one I believe is also based on the Alexandrian, but surprisingly, it comes up with a different way to express that. And then finally, in the Byzantine New Testament, from the Orthodox Study Bible, it reads in chapter 26 of Matthew, verse 45. I haven't read this in advance, so let's just see what it says. So he left them, went away again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand." So there's no contradiction in the Byzantine uh, scriptures. There's no contradiction in the Byzantine scriptures there. So that gives it more ammunition in terms of which one is more true. So that's score a point there for the Byzantine versus the Alexandrian. So there are other ways to express these two camps, but I found that interesting. In any case, it seems to be less contradiction, at least in that verse. So that's all for this video. I wanted to make a more succinct, more brief video on this topic of it's popularly known as the night to be much observed, but when it's expressed that way, you lose the understanding of what it is and what it means. It is a night watch. Okay, let's call it a night watch to be kept to Adonai. So that's the title of this video. A night watch to be kept to Adonai, or does God command us not to sleep? One of those. Okay. Shalom Aleichem. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Until next time, Maranatha.